Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Sard, and today my partner, Jess Mirek, and I will be discussing news reporting in regards to global warming. Most Americans come into contact with at least one news source throughout the day. We will be exploring how news sources can skew perceptions of topics based on how they frame a story. Global warming is an environmental issue that has been covered a great deal within our media. However, your view of this issue may be very different based on what news sources you use.
Media and popular culture influences our everyday lives. The information you hear through the media or news has been framed and constructed specifically, and it is used to create and persuade or alter the perceptions of the viewers. Our chapter introduces the idea of framing. Framing is when the media takes a story and emphasizes certain facts or elements to create a specific reality. This relates to customized framing, which means that the media presents a story in a way that is supposed to be interpreted in a specific way. Specific news biases use political backgrounds to frame stories in a way that reinforces their political agendas. Specific biases are created and withheld through the text that the news reporter states. Each newscast is designed with intentions to persuade the audience. We will now observe two different news sources. They both talk about global warming. First, Fox News. Through the actions and the way the news reporters discuss global warming, their audience is directly affected by what they say and how they act.
Global warming. New Yale study says 57% of teens understand that global warming is caused mostly by humans' activities. Is it really now?
I don't believe climate change is real. I think this is global warming hysteria and alarmism.
So-called global warming, which isn't happening.
Global warming is illusory. We're actually going through a period of global cooling.
Calling carbon dioxide a pollutant? Come on.
Look how much pollution I just put out.
This is our Fox News global warming alert for you. It is freezing.
Blizzard versus global warming. Who do you believe, Al Gore or your freezing butt?
A pre-winter into winter storm like Europe hasn't seen in years. Forget about all that global warming talk.
It's not global warming, I'll tell you that.
Another storm could be headed this way next week. Global warming? Where are you? We want you back.
This short collection of clips provides insight into how Fox News reporters view global warming as a joke. They seemingly discredit and mock scientific data and provide insight into their extremely biased opinions. In comparison to Fox News, NBC released a video in response to and regarding the same issues covered by the extremely biased opinions at Fox. In this video, the news reporters are much more serious and allow for the viewer to hear and reference scientific data.
An international group of scientific experts came out today and said in no uncertain terms global warming is real and it's almost certainly caused by what we humans do to this planet. Climate change is increasingly a political issue, but today's report is all about science, as we hear now from NBC News correspondent Donna Friesen.
Nature has been driving home the message for years. Now, in a landmark report, hundreds of climate scientists have, for the first time, confirmed their 90% certain man-made greenhouse gas emissions are causing alarming rates of global warming. Arctic temperatures increased almost twice the global average rate in the past 100 years. There have been more intense droughts over wider areas, especially in the tropics. There's been less snow, fewer cold days and nights, and more killer heat waves. And the future, if we don't curb gas emissions, will only get worse. Even if we dramatically reduce carbon emissions starting today, so much is built up in the atmosphere that the effects will be felt for centuries. There is no rewind button.
This relates to another concept, cultural resonances. This is explained as those underlying assumptions and cultural myths embedded in a society's values and collective psyche that are often taken for granted. Therefore, both NBC and Fox News are trying to create a cultural resonance in regards to global warming.
In this case, Fox is trying to create a correlation between all of these people that are discrediting global warming and global warming itself. On the opposite end of the spectrum, NBC uses photos to create a face for the cause. During the clip, photos of a polar bear or megafauna on a floating iceberg and a child floating amongst the water are shown. NBC is trying to create a link between the struggling child and the lone polar bear and global warming. They create a feeling that almost encourages the viewer to feel more connected and affected by the cause.
After looking at both of these very different accounts of the same issue, there's cause to wonder if this was done on purpose or if it was unintentional or subconscious. Jess and I are under the belief that this was done very purposefully. Every day, the companies that produce our media spend millions upon millions of dollars. When a company spends that much money, everything is done on purpose. Because of the media biases that Jess talked about earlier, we have reason to believe that these stories were skewed for political reasons. Media has great power because as citizens, we tend to think that everything that we see on the news is true. However, this is an incorrect assumption. Messages can be skewed very easily. To control the media is to control power. When NBC and Fox News put out these stories, they knew that they could point the general public in either a conservative or a liberal direction, thus helping to change votes. This media bias can have a large impact on our environment. For example, if everyone in America only got his or her news from NBC, the general public would most likely believe that global warming is a detrimental issue that needs to be addressed. Because of how the story is framed, America would be more likely to change their behavior. The story shows the seriousness of global warming, so perhaps Americans would be more likely to recycle or insist on decreasing carbon emissions. Therefore, it goes to say that the environment would be positively affected by the media coverage and the positive framing of this story. All in all, it's important to know the facts behind every news source and to not take things at face value. It's important to research as much as you can on topics that you hear about through your news source. Jess and I would recommend getting as much information as you can about the topic in question and try to get the information from a source that is directly involved with that topic, if at all possible. Everyone has biases, and that can come out in many different ways. But to temper some of those biases, it's important to get the truth behind every topic. Clearly, having access to correct information can be beneficial to important issues such as the environment.